Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for Orns Friday Focus on Watford versus Brentford at the Vic. That game takes place tomorrow, April 16th, a Saturday, as Watford will look to finally break their club record home losing streak. They would love to end it at 9 games. 9 games is enough, thank you very much. Too many defeats at home this season have cost Watford and will cost them ultimately their place in the Premier League. The real dagger came last weekend at home against Leeds, and Watford had to win the game. And now, with a 3-0 defeat in that game, face next to impossible odds, really, of staying in the Premier League. It's not mathematically up, but the idea that Watford are going to win 5 of their remaining 7 games, uh, pretty much done and dusted. The chances of that, I think, are very slim indeed. And Watford are going to have to, if they have any hope at least of playing next season in the Premier League, they have to really win 6 games now because they are 7 points, because you've got to factor in the goal difference, 7 points behind Everton and a point behind Burnley in the bottom three. And they're only a point ahead of Norwich now because Norwich defeated Burnley last week. So Watford have a lot of work to do. Really, I think now it's 6 wins because of the fact that they trail Everton by really 7 points. If you include the goal difference, it's 6 points, but really with goal difference, because Everton's goal difference is so much better than Watford's, it's really a 7 point deficit. So that's really, in reality, 3 wins, because a draw is not going to do you any good anyway. So you really need three. It's really 6 wins out of 7 for Watford, but it's just not going to happen, is it now? Well, Watford are going to have to play a lot better against Brentford than they did against Leeds. And I think now it's a case of Watford playing for pride and playing to snap that horrible, long losing streak at home. That's 9 consecutive losses from that game with Leeds, 9 consecutive home losses. That's really not good. And that's an understatement in the Premier League for Watford as they continue to slide at home. They've lost 12 home games this season at the Vic. This is a season after winning at least 20 plus games in the championship at home and losing, I think, only 2 or 3 home games in the championship last season. What a turnaround. Well, look, we can do the autopsy on this team all we want when the season ends, but for tomorrow against Brentford, Watford are going to have to play with purpose, play with pride. There's really no pressure on Watford anymore now because I think the body language of the players shows you and really is screaming loud and clear that this team knows it's done for. And many of the Watford fan base, and I am now officially one of them, after so much belief and confidence in this team, I have now joined the ranks of the many Watford fans who long ago predicted doom for this team in this season with the way they had been playing throughout the season, especially at home. I now finally joined those ranks, and reluctantly so, despite the poor performances. But the reality has to finally set in. The inevitability has to set in at some point. And for me, it was after that game against Leeds last week. Now, as far as Brentford are concerned, they are flying high in the Premier League. They are very near the top 10, not too far away from me. I think they're in 12th or 13th place at the moment. They are going to be safe. They're on 37 points now, so they are going to be safe, or they're 36, 37 points. They're going to be safe here. No problem for them. They've had a very solid first season in the Premier League. And of course, we came up with Brentford. Brentford made it through courtesy of the playoffs, and they went to the playoff final and won. And so the fact that Brentford had at least 3.5, even more weeks less than Watford did to prepare for the Premier League season and to finish higher than Watford and to finish in the Premier League for another season, that is a remarkable accomplishment for Thomas Frank and his Brentford men, who have a number of danger men in their team. Buemo, Tony, Yanalt, Canos, Wisa. Shall I go on? Each of these men is capable of putting in a goal whenever they feel like. And of course, I forgot to mention Christian Eriksen. That's right. Christian Eriksen is on that team as well. This is going to be a difficult one for Watford because they would probably have been better off playing at Brentford rather than at home. But remember what happened at Brentford in December of last year. You do remember that game, don't you? I think it's a game that we as Watford fans want to forget. Watford were in the lead in that game fairly early on through Emmanuel Dennis with a header to make it Brentford nil, Watford 1. And you know what happened next, don't you? The City giveaway by Truce Kong in the penalty area. Oh, dearie, dearie me. You know what happened. That was what led to the Brentford win. And before that, Brentford scored in the 80 some odd minute. And then in the 95th minute or so of that game, the penalty giveaway, a needless one by Truce Kong. And that was that, done and dusted. Brentford coming from behind to defeat Watford at the Community Stadium in Brentford in West London last year. Watford will like to avenge that and turn things around, but I am not confident about that. There's nothing that has shown me that they will, not from the back of last week's performance, a must win game. And each time they've had must win games at Vicarage Road this season, they have lost all of them. And I expect that it could be a very long day at the Vic again tomorrow. But Watford will definitely put this one in the bank. They will play a whole lot better tomorrow than they did against Leeds. They will have, I think, some pride to play for, and I do think that they will play better, and I do think they'll score a goal or two. Whether they win the game or not, it remains to be seen. That they have so many targets to cover with Brentford. Brentford have got a very dangerous team, and they are building a very good platform for a good few years in the Premier League to come because they've got some very talented players on that team, and they do play a lot of football where they will be up and at you all game long. Brentford will continue to attack the Watford goal. What Watford must do is from the off, guard against the counter and make sure that they come out with purpose and positivity. Watford have got nothing to lose anymore now because I think the game is up for them. But I would like to see Watford come forth with some purpose here and some passion and some energy and some desperation. Come out fighting, come out swinging, come out firing on all cylinders. Take shots. Do not dawdle on the ball. Do not give away silly fouls. And please, these defensive mistakes must be cut out. No more passing the ball across the box in front of your own goalkeeper with an attacker running toward your goal. Don't do that. When you get a ball, kick it into the crowd, kick it into the stands. Please kick it into the stands. Do not dawdle on the ball. Please, if you've got the ball in your defensive area, please kick it out. Please kick it out into the stands. Safety first. That is an important thing for Watford. And on the attack, do not hesitate to take the shot. Take the shot first time. When you don't think about taking a shot, you are better off. If you have to stop and hesitate and think about it, it is going to be a load of trouble. And even if you don't have the numbers, take the shot, take the chance. Do not wait. You still have these 7 games left in the Premier League. But I tell you, a win against Brentford would go a long way towards bolstering some confidence, especially since that win would come at the Vic. Watford have just got to go for it no matter what. Brentford will be trying to soak up Watford pressure and they will be relentless going forward. What Watford must do is stay defensively disciplined and focused throughout this game. No switching off. And I think that the lineup is probably not going to change very much. A few tweaks here and there. We do not know yet if Javier Hernandez, or I should say Cucho Hernandez, rather, Cucho Hernandez. We do not know yet if he will be playing this game. There's nothing, at least as of the time I'm recording this, that has come out of the Watford camp suggesting that he is okay and has recovered from his hamstring injury. There's nothing that's led me to believe that that's changed. So there will be some enforced change to that lineup. Now, is it going to be Emmanuel Dennis? I expect so. But Emmanuel Dennis has been so poor and so underwhelming for a vast majority of these last 2 months. It is incredible to believe that's the same player that scored 9 Premier League goals for Watford, leading all scorers in the Watford side. He has just not looked like himself. He has been a shell of himself since March. And I don't know if it corresponds with the international duty. I don't know if it corresponds with some of the things that have been going on behind the scenes regarding his international duty and the club not letting him go and all. But he just is not the same player, not the same player at all. So Watford have their work cut out for them against a very dangerous Brentford side, who, don't forget, just a couple of weeks ago put four past Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Watford will have to stop the bleeding. And I guess the law of averages says that somewhere, somehow, some way, one of these remaining home games, Watford are finally going to win it. Let's hope at least it will be this one against Brentford. This has been the Orns Friday Focus.